This is Fictional Problems, the podcast where we discuss all things writing in association with Speculative Fiction Ireland. In this episode, we're exploring inspiration, where writers find it, how it shapes our work, and how it can help turn an initial idea into something more. We'll also look at the important line between inspiration and plagiarism, and ask whether AI is changing the way we find and develop ideas. Join us as we explore where inspiration comes from and what to do with it once it arrives. And welcome back to Fictional Problems, the podcast where we discuss all things writing in association with Speculative Fiction Ireland, with your host, myself, Gary J. Martin.
And myself, A.R. McNevin.
Yes, and we are feeling particularly inspired today to discuss inspiration. More pointedly, how an author balances overwhelming inspiration.
Yes, so
versus what they put on the page and how they interact and go forward with what they write.
Well, yes, so it's a common enough thing for myself. I don't know about yourself, but that's why I thought this would be a good topic.
Mm-hmm.
That one thing I tend not to do when I'm writing is read. Essentially, that if I'm in the middle of a project, I tend not to watch new stuff, or I tend not to. I will watch old TV shows or read read old stuff.
Yeah.
But what I don't want to happen is for something to inspire me such that I want to start writing something else, or I can fit this in here.
Yeah.
And while there's a positive to that, there is also, I want to get whatever I'm writing completed.
Yes.
And then sure, I'll go back and then I'll do some editing, or then I can, there's one project I know off the top of my head that I finished a novella for.
Mm.
I know that I'm going to go back in and I'm going to be adding, I currently have it sitting as a novella, and I know I'm going to be adding 150 pages to it, which will make it, very much a novel length thing.
Yeah.
Because there's more to do, because I've been subsequently inspired to flesh it out even more.
Well, that kind of makes sense when you have something in the works, and it could be a big aspect, could be a small aspect, but something piques your interest from something you've watched or something you've read, and you go on, maybe I could incorporate this little idea into it works well with what I have set up so far, or I can completely understand how that could happen.
And because I write science fiction fantasy. If I'm watching science fiction fantasy, especially if I find someone who's using a trope incorrectly, it's like I can do better than that.
Yeah.
So there was a old TV show called Cult, and it has a very Dean Koontz kind of vibe to it.
Okay.
It was about a journalist who was investigating his missing brother, I think it was,
right,
who was obsessed with a TV show, which was about a serial killer.
Okay. So
there was this multi-layered thing of, there's people who believed the TV show was real. So you had these stalkers, and suddenly these murders start happening in real life.
Okay.
And the actors are beginning to wonder what the story is, and they've never met the real writer of the story of the show, and all these things are happening.
Yeah.
And it was around the same time. There's two TV shows like this. There was Cult, and there was another one. I can't remember the name of them, but it was very much, again, another kind of paired type of thing.
Okay.
Of fake TV shows. And what was happening in this show was the people would die so they would die, and they'd die with the line, with the word on their lips. I shall read it out. It would happen in front of people. Hey, these things just snap right off, and then they'd die.
Yeah.
So and then their head would kind of crook slightly, and then they'd be fucking dead.
When they read the thing.
No, when they would just be like, they'd be lying, they'd be sitting down just in a motel somewhere, and you'd walk in and they'd go, hey, these things just snap right off. And even like that would be almost a command word for their brain to have an embolism.
Oh,
and they'd be
okay.
dead,
Yeah.
right? That was fantastic. To me, that was just the story around it felt like shit. Felt like utter shit.
But that one element
just drove me insane.
Okay.
I was like, this is fantastic.
You mean more insane?
Further insane than I currently am. Yes. Treatment is being sought. That it was just wonderful. There was just this single line was me going, oh my God, this is fantastic. The show ultimately ended, as in the show was terrible. The show ultimately ended with an incredibly bad ending.
Oh no!
Which suggested that if I remember correctly, and I think it was cancelled, so I think they managed to get an episode just to finish it out. That there was a scene where a guy was explaining that there was a Aztec remote control, a TV remote control, as in a made of stone.
Right.
And it was about some bullshit about narrative and about this. And I was like, it made no fucking sense.
Okay.
But they
ditch all that then.
And I was like, okay, well, what did the line mean? And there was no answer to it. And I was so pissed off because every time I thought about this line, every time I thought about this effect of, like, there was an old Outer Limits. No, it wasn't Outer Limits. It was Twilight Zone, where the guy had discovered the meaning of life. And every time he told someone, they went insane.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. Yeah, great premise.
Yeah, so you want to hear it, but you're going to go insane. Or do you think you have the mental wherewithal?
Yeah, I can
survive
be
this.
Okay,
I can survive this.
I won't go. Yeah,
I'm fine.
Oh, you people will go insane. Yeah, but I'm strong enough mentally. My mind is a steel trap.
Well, yours definitely is. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out.
Never. Hey.
So this is the type of heavy influence. Because every time I had to, like, I remember writing a doc, just opening like that, so I was just spelling out just words onto a Word doc just to get it out of my head, because it was so profound to me.
Yeah, you wanted to see what you could do with it immediately, like straight away.
But it's someone else's words. It's very much it's like a magic spell.
Yeah.
But
it kind of goes back to, like, there would be real world examples of, like, the whole MK Ultra project, all these conspiracy theories about, what men who stare at goats.
Yes.
That whole aspect of, there has been real world exploration of the bizarre, the occult, perhaps, the pushing of the human mind and brain beyond.
Assuming that's where it goes.
Yeah.
But it could go anywhere.
Yeah. That's what's great about it.
That line, as in, the first thing I thought was that because they're dealing with worlds inside of worlds, what if it's just I'm unplugging myself from the Matrix?
Yeah, and they show up somewhere else.
No, they just unplug themselves from the Matrix, and their body is dead. Just as with Switch and APOC in the Matrix, the bodies in the Matrix drop dead as they get removed.
Yeah.
So, and I said that they're popping out into the nebula because they're going, I'm fine. Hey, this thing snaps off, removed. And so they look like they're dead, but actually they're fine.
Yeah.
And that's just one many ways of going. There's also, I don't know if you read Ian M. Banks.
No.
The culture novels. They're inside the culture. So the culture is this galaxy spanning, incredibly far futuristic sci-fi, where all these AI minds, they have all these weird names for ships, which are fantastic.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Ship, the Second, and anticipation of a new lover's arrival. The
better than Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man put together. SS.
No.
The SS better than Superman and Spider-Man put together.
Decent names.
Oh, that was Peter Griffin's boat.
That doesn't work. But there was all these wonderful names.
Yeah.
And they had a special service. They had a secret service that went around just knocking over governments.
Okay.
And it was called Special Circumstances.
Okay.
And that is such a good name. I mean, it is just
I like that.
What we do. We handle special circumstances.
Yeah.
We handle, and it's such,
get the job done.
And the thing is, whether or not it's hey, these things just snap off, or special circumstances, you can change it. You can go, these are unusual events. We work for UE.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it'll always be lesser than. It'll always be lesser than this heavy inspiration that sits in my head. So how do we deal with it? Other than ignoring it, other than never ever touching that idea because it's so.
Yeah, but I don't think you can be afraid of the inspiration either when it comes, or not afraid necessarily, but if the inspiration is there, if something like that is hitting you with such meaning, you should. I feel like you should always embrace that feeling anyway. Not necessarily the wording specific, but the concept of what you are finding inspirational from it is not necessarily the arrangement of the words.
Yes, it is.
But it is. In this case.
No, yes, it is.
Yeah, in this case, not all inspiration hits you the same.
I know, but it is whatever that's what I'm talking about. If you're talking about lesser inspiration, like talking about the things we talked about, the idea of certain aspects of your next book were inspired in certain ways, and that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And it can be filtered in, then that's, I guess, the lesser form, or at least the workable form. But this is so monumentally influential. Or it's like this, like it's the difference between finding a piece and finding something that is almost fully formed.
Okay, yeah.
It's like saying that, like, special circumstances they're just great. It's like I've often said that I can take a book down, one of my role-playing game books, off the shelf, flick through it, and read any page.
Yeah.
And suddenly, it's there. It actually recently happened that I plucked down the Changeling the Lost, which is the new World of Darkness book, and I just flicked through it, and I happened to be sitting on the toilet. I just happened to be, having a nice long bowel movement, and I happened just to flick through the pages, and the page happened to talk about a fetch. Do you know what a fetch is?
Nope.
A fetch is a changeling, as in the thing that's left in a person's place.
Yeah.
A changeling, as in a baby gets taken, a human baby gets taken, and the thing that's in place is a fetch. It's the changeling. It's the creature.
Yes.
And sometimes if it's a baby, it's a changeling. If it's if it's an adult, then it's a fetch, and they're always just slightly odd.
Okay.
And this suddenly created an entire story for one of my. So essentially, I have book 3 ready to go. As soon as I finish book 1 and then book 2, I have book 3 now, story written out before I got back to my computer. As in the 10-second walk, 20-second walk between toilet and desk. I had
the mind was working.
I had so many scenes just go. Okay, it wasn't a fully thing, but I was like, that's how it starts. Then it's a flashback.
Well, it's an inspiration cascade.
Yeah, exactly. And it was from a single page.
Yeah, sure.
Of a single book, but that is a inspiration moment where it then fits into an existing series. It's existing, like.
But I suppose if you're doing like a massive something that is extremely inspirational like that, starts the neurons firing, and you like you were saying, it was giving you these ideas and giving you ideas. So like you can take even something as small as an image, and that could fit into a small part of a story. You can you're kind of lifting and placing, copy paste. But
yes, and
not copy paste. But
you're on the point, or on the problem of the point, should I say?
Yeah, but like the degree to which the inspiration affects, like in this situation, it seems like a small thing that you think is absolutely brilliant is now spawning. It's blooming all these ideas in your mind.
From yes, but yes. So from the fetch idea, that is just because I always say that this is particularly World of Darkness books. They are always very, very well written, or at least they tune into me very well.
Yeah, okay.
That I can do this, or it's I flick through, read, and suddenly I want to write.
Yeah,
it's so maybe that's because that's how I came up on reading these books. Maybe that's the reason for it. But having the moment of inspiration that then spawns out, having a seed that spawns out, this has been compared to having a fully finished oak tree that you're looking at, going, "This is the most beautiful oak tree I've ever seen in my life. This is the tree of life. This is Norhazrazil.
I want to chop it down and put it in my garden.
I do not want to touch it. I do not want to. Yeah. I do not want to adjust anything. Every acorn is perfect where it is. It is the way the sun is rising behind it. Oh my God, this is absolutely perfect. And I do not want to. I want to almost talk about it.
Yeah.
It's almost like I want to describe it rather than write it anew. And it need taking, say, hey, these things snap off. At no point in that story did they talk about someone going out of the Matrix.
Yeah.
So me writing a story about someone going out of the Matrix is, and because it ended the way it did.
It's your interpretation of the inspiration is providing this roadmap for you.
But it's still the same line. And the thing is, I don't want to touch that line. And that's the problem.
Yeah, well, I think,
like, if I write a space opera where there's a secret agent who's working for a clandestine government who's going to go down and fuck over a government, I so want them to be from special circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely do. I just do. And
well, that's great.
No, but they can't be from special circumstances because that's from another great writer.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a good sign though that like certain things can grab your attention. That is a sign of a good writer. If they can write something that you go, that just lights a fire in your mind, of creativity in and of itself. But it's difficult then. I mean, it comes down perhaps to the quote unquote character of the writer,
sure,
as to how far they will kind of draw outside their own lines to draw that Sharpie around someone else's line to try and incorporate it into their own tornado path.
Yeah, so that's where we get the problem of between inspiration and plagiarism.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that so it's, at what point can I say that this line I spiraled off. It's like, I don't know if you ever watched the movie Finding Forrester. It was
Sean Connery.
Yeah, one of his last movies, where the part of the plot is he gave Jamal a story of one of his own stories.
Gave him inspiration
to get him typing.
Yeah,
and then it became his own story. So you could say that acknowledging that this is where it's from is either plagiarism or fan fiction.
There you go. And stop the clock. Thanks, producer. Stop the clock. How long it took him to mention fanfic?
And the clock just reset itself. Isn't that nice?
What?
So we just passed 14 minutes. It was almost like it almost hit zero again.
Yeah.
Start again. Anyway, you want there to be an honesty. And
of course.
You want it to be
kind of a discipline thing then.
Exactly, yes.
Self-discipline.
That surely that you can get there through another way, but it'll always, always, always be almost less than.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm terrible. Actually, I want to mention something before I moved on. When you mentioned the idea about writers kind of seeing good things in other writers, it's one thing I always like about British comedy shows, especially British panel shows like say Mock the Week, especially the early Mock the Week guys, because there's a lot of guys who would kind of like, this was kind of Frankie Boyle and Russell Howard, and they all have their bits, and you can see they're reading off like bits that they have written, that they're gaming things out for their own kind of set, and I love the fact that you could see them kind of someone sitting back going, "Go on, your turn," and it was them laughing at one of those sets. That's really that. So if a comedian is laughing at comedy, I take that as top notch stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
Strong.
And that's like I want to write that better than you. It's like the whole principle of science that I want to figure out this before you do.
Yeah. Trust but verify. Yeah, I trust what you've done, but I'm gonna test this. Yeah, I'm gonna test this theory.
You got there first.
Yeah.
So that sort of thing is so.
You want to be the Mozart to their Salieri. if possible.
Yeah. So it's no matter what you do in the future, you'll always remember that you're trying to almost subvert the initial point of inspiration. Yes, this heavy chunk. It's almost like this leaden. It's like it's like a brown dwarf star weight.
Yeah,
it's Mjolnir. You can't lift it, but it's there and it's wonderful.
I want to be worthy.
You want to be worthy to will, but you know you can't because you're not Thor. You're not whoever wrote this.
Yeah.
So you want to, so you can go off and try and get someone else's, but it's never truly going to be anything else.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of along the lines of, well, the question then becomes as to, you're not, again, your own character says you're not going to straight off rip this thing off. You're not going to plagiarize it because that's abhorrent to your own sense of, your own sensibility of being an author. Is that, it's an integrity thing. It's like, okay, I have this massive point of inspiration. I'm not going to just lift it. But there are, like, the power of that inspiration. Again, like I said, if it's firing off potential, like, stories just from the very concept, is creating these worlds in your head at the time. That, I think, that's perfectly fine. That's kind of, hopefully, is inspiration rather than, just plagiarism. Is when the idea and the concept and the idea behind the idea, as well as the deeper meaning of something that is inspiring. If you can still use most of that.
Yes, well,
without taking the central actual text. You can take the feeling behind it. You can take the vibe of it. You can kind of mold it and shape it into something that you want to say, because you don't want to say what that other writer has said, but you like the way he said what he wanted to say.
Yes, and the problem is that it's like taking Highlander and removing the line, "There can only be one." It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
I shall be singular. It's, you can go through the synonym battle, the thesaurus, and go, let's find a different wording of this, and it just
feels flat.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're essentially removing the heart. As if imagine you reverse that sentiment.
Yeah.
You're saying you want to include the heart. Really, that's you want that as much. We can write stories until we're blue in the face, but we need to have the heart there. And essentially, if we are removing that heart, then it's I don't know. It's a lacking.
But there is a potential there once it's removed to fill that void with something else that mightn't feel to you as good as the thing that inspired you.
Yes.
But to someone reading your stuff, they might think that this is a phenomenal idea that they've never heard of or seen before, because they mightn't be aware of where your inspiration comes from.
And that is a challenge.
Yeah.
That is how far you need to move away. Like, again, take Highlander for example. If you have a bunch of people who are hacking each other's heads off, that is a concept. And you compare, say, Highlander to Highlander 2, as in Highlander 2, B movie, not a Highlander movie, but still a good enough B movie, as in good popcorn movie, great. And it has people hacking each other's heads off. So, and has some scenes of that. So, and I would say those two are completely different genre.
Yeah.
They are completely different movies. That they have.
One's fantasy, one feels more like science fiction.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's exactly what they are. So they're completely different. So you could almost say that the first one doesn't know anything of the second, or that the second one doesn't know anything of the first one.
Yeah.
So, but you could say that the reason why the second one is so bad is because the heart of it was removed. That it wasn't about immortals; it was about these weird aliens.
Yeah.
So, and you can say, well, they're doing the same things. No, they're not. So
it didn't even say highlight. We go into we could deep dive into Highlander 2 and how just inconsistent it was with the previous one. You don't know what's going on there. It's like, if we don't do another movie about this, we lose the license.
Yeah.
Is kind of what it felt like. Rush something together and we'll just film it, and sure, we'll pay the actors whatever we need to.
Sure, yeah.
Because, like, that was the one thing that stuck out, was that Connor McLeod and Ramirez knew each other on the other planet, even though Ramirez, and they're called, I believe they call each other by those names on the alien planet.
They do.
So Connor McLeod, of no particular clan, happens to know this Ramirez guy, who's a very kind of, Spanish name.
Yes, well, he's Egyptian, but yeah.
Even though Ramirez is thousands of years older.
Yeah.
So there was if you can't follow the logic from the first one into the second one.
Nope.
Without just ignoring the events of the first one, which
maybe separate things.
Yeah.
But I still like, I will still appreciate, as I used to like it more, but I still appreciate Highlander 2 as just a sci-fi B movie. As in, I will have to compare that to anything being put out today and say that one's fucking better than any of the Netflix shit that gets pumped out. Last House, piece of shit. Anyway, but I want to add one thing. So as almost like, oh, we have second act.
Yeah.
So I heard this. There's a guy who does D&D shorts. A very funny guy. I can't remember his name. I will throw the link in somewhere.
Yeah, I love the way we do our research for these episodes.
But he referenced a D&D idea.
Yeah.
Where there's a truth serum. But it's not that the person has to speak the truth. It's that whatever they speak becomes the truth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So like the Bart Simpson Friday, the Halloween episode where like America was now founded by some guy.
Yeah.
But it actually becomes the truth.
Yeah.
So this becomes a power. And this is a great idea.
Mm.
But again, you have the source. It's like the Inception idea of don't think of an elephant. What do you think about? I think of an elephant.
Yeah.
You already know. You know. And this is completely about the respect one has for just another creative. As an example, in work, I have found online solutions for technical problems.
Yeah.
And one of those problems is a bunch of Power BI code that I take out and I drop into a Power BI and it works.
Okay.
The person who created that code is some Indian fella or girl, don't know who they are, but their name, I insist that their name is part of that code every time I put it in.
Okay.
It's just it's commented out.
Yeah.
But it's at the top going, this is the comment, as in they have their name, their name there, the date that it was created on is coming out. I insist.
Yeah.
That I've
credit where credit is due.
This person will never ever know that I've done this.
Yeah, but you'll know.
I know, and that's the real important thing that I think I'm professing there. That the person who wrote, hey, these things snap off, may never read the story I write. Someone may never read it, but I'll know. I'll know that that's where the inspiration came from.
Yeah,
and and for a very long time, it was killing me that I couldn't work.
Oh, yeah.
Until one thing happened.
Let's have it. What was that one thing that happened?
I found his inspiration point.
Oh, interesting.
I found where he got the line from.
Oh, right. How different was it?
It's the same line.
Oh, no way.
It's the same line. It's from a Gary Larson cartoon.
Excellent.
It's two bears looking at one another saying, hey, these things just snap right off.
You talking about arms and legs?
Oh, no. As in, they're manacles.
Okay.
I'm looking at like, hey, these things just snap right off. And I was like, it was just a throwaway line.
Yeah.
It was, for this writer, a throwaway line that they picked up. I was like, I can use it.
Yeah.
Suddenly it unlocks. But it's, and that moment
takes it back to first principles.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that moment of me going, I was like, now I have to fucking write it.
It's like,
it was just.
Or you could, thumb your way through an old Gary Larson book of Far Side, comics and go, oh, there's a much better line.
Well, no, it was like, no, I can't. That's silly. The inspiration has already happened. The blinding light of inspiration has already happened. I don't need to seek it again something else. It doesn't need to be something else. It can be the exact thing.
Yeah.
So, and again, things for a vast majority of writers, for anyone who uses AI, this isn't a thing.
Yeah,
this is not an issue. Anyone who's using AI in any way,
don't
shape,
toil and trouble over.
They don't fucking care
the moral
about
questions.
This. Yeah. They're not writing. They're just curating. It's anyone who's writing a story because what they'll do is they'll put that line in as a prompt, and suddenly they'll have a 400 word, 600 word, a few pages afterwards as like, fuck them.
Yeah,
and that is the difference here. That it is. I've talked about inspiration. I've talked about plagiarization, and now we've talked about fanfic, and we now come back because AI is the one thing I was watching, I think you actually recommended a guy you saw who's using an AI novel generation tool and was taking people through it.
Oh, okay,
and the fact that he looks very much like me was very much annoying.
No,
but
your cousin, right?
Well, at least he's American, so there's no chance of confusion. But it was so. My only hope is that these people finally realize that they haven't created anything.
Yeah,
that they're not benefiting from this process of worrying, of getting inspired.
Yeah, they're paddling around in the shallow end.
They're not even doing that. They're
sitting on the bank.
They're just. I think, and I've talked about looking at, like, as about in work. I just do not use AI at all and recommend against it.
Yeah.
It's a tool. You use it, but this way of using it is just.
Yeah,
there's no inspiration there.
Mm-hmm.
There's no artistry there.
Yeah.
And it is I can feel myself thinking this is arrogant, but I was thinking, well, I write these funny stories about, like vampires and spaceships and aliens and weird wizards, and it's still the sequence of words that me or you put down has never ever been put down in that order by another human being,
or
another being ever in this universe. It's never been put down that way.
Exactly.
The thing that's being generated by these non-inspired, just, I want to produce something.
Yeah.
I want the production at the end. That is, hopefully they realize that they're not producing anything, or that something has been produced.
Yeah. It's like Milli Vanilli.
Excellent touchdown.
Insofar as, they were a massively popular act that were, collectively their whole apparatus behind them was producing these hit songs. And they were going in the charts and they were selling records and they were doing, but when it came down to actually doing it,
they couldn't.
And they got found out.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when they did, that was career over.
Yes, but
So even if these so-called, AI authors, they'll at some point they'll have to do it and then be found wanting. They will have been weighed. They will have been measured.
I don't think it's the same in that
it's not a live performance.
Exactly. So that someone, it really depends on the reader. That, because while we have our own understand, or we have our own understanding of what, like, I saw this quote where it said, all AI slop is hateful. All your AI images are hateful. Your AI pamphlet is terrible. Your AI post is terrible. And my response was that, no, it's what you perceive to be AI is terrible.
Yeah.
The song that you're humming along to that was AI created that you like, it's not terrible. It's still AI slop. So it is the experiencer, the reader, the listener who is making the determination about whether or not this is good or bad. The production that this person who makes by curating a novel through an AI generation tool that they have no real impetus in.
Yeah.
They have never had what we're talking about. The questioning ourselves about inspiration or plagiarism.
How far should I go on this? And inspiration. Much like those Milli Vanilli fans in the audience, they weren't the ones to discover that they were lip syncing, but when they did,
sure,
that was the end. They're like, wash their hands of that.
Yeah, but you also imagine people who will still listen to those albums and still listen to those songs.
Yeah.
Because they can't get away from it. It's a sunken cost fallacy. So it's those people, and we're being two of them, that struggle with influence.
Yeah.
Who go, I'm not going to plagiarize this person, or I'm going to even if it's plagiarism is not even a thing, isn't it? Because there's plenty of cases. You've probably seen yourself on BookTube or about people who are writing books that are so identical to one another, but it's still not in the realm of plagiarism.
Well, I have had certain comments in relation to the Night of Gaelgara, the first book, that were questions as to where the idea came from. So, and there was more than one individual. One person was like, in relation to, okay, Geist is part of the Night Watchman,
right?
And Game of Thrones famously has the Night's Watch.
Yes.
So they were like, is that just that? Are they just...
Yeah, that's an idiot.
And I'm like, well...
yeah. No, because all you have to do is go history,
it just
Night's
sounds...
Watch.
Yeah, it just sounds close.
So the person who didn't bother going to... Before questioning your honor, questioning your ability, didn't go into Google.
Well, yeah.
Because I imagine he did this, or he or she did this over the internet, and didn't go to Google and put in Night's Watch and found the fucking history that goes through the entire world about...
First off, I appreciate the indignation on my behalf. That's great. Thank you very much. I don't know the background as to where the comment came from, but my answer was no, they're totally separate. They sound similar, but the other one was in relation to the whale riders.
Okay,
and someone saying, well, that's like in Avatar 2, where they ride sea creatures. Is that where you got that idea, or was it? So some people might think you're just lifting that idea, and I was like, no, this is way in advance of Avatar 2 ever being conceived of.
Yeah,
or, shall we say, or especially not. It's just the timing.
Oh, sure, yeah. and you'll get that, like talking about negative commentary, and this is part we mentioned before about things being built up. I've got comments on the first book of Conomancy saying that it's cliched, because I had to establish, by the time you get to the third book now, it's all, as in, I basically went, this is going to start from a baseline, and the first book goes, here's things slowly but surely growing, that I didn't have any elves, dwarves, anything like that until the second book. The second book, when they introduced them,
there's dwarves in it.
In the second book, no, that's Stormhold. But as in, I make reference to a family in the Docklands that Edgar knows, who were kept themselves, and then suddenly one night left.
Yeah,
because they're all growing pointy ears.
Yeah,
and their kids were being profoundly declaring basically different characteristics.
Yeah.
This particular place was very much anti-magic. It was our magic was or anti all that stuff. So they were anti the foreigner, essentially. So these things were built up that I always knew.
Yeah.
As we've talked before, I always knew the reasoning and the why for behind all the stuff that's there. When someone goes, this cliche, it's like, well, wait for book 2, and then book 3, and then book 4, and you see it
You're
all.
like, I designed it
this way,
that
you are seeing the basic version of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not spending my entire time by the way, all the wizards in this are based on this. I'm not telling you, like, it really annoys me that when someone makes a comment going, I really like the world building of this novel. I go, you haven't fucking seen the world building of that novel.
Yeah.
If you have, then that author didn't do a very good job at doing the building, because it should be
that front-loaded exposition for 50 pages.
Yeah, exactly. They spent so much time doing exposition.
Tough.
You may have seen the foreground, and you may love the foreground, which is great. So you see part of it, but it's very much.
Or you like the feel of what you're reading, and like, that's the world building. Is like this small section that I'm reading about hints. At things that I like.
I would make it. I use the metaphor
stronger than hints. Yeah.
I'd use the metaphor that it's like driving in a car.
Mm-hmm.
A smooth. You're driving along smooth. I'd really like to drive this car. You have no idea about the engine. Yeah. You have no idea about the technology. You have no idea about the nature of the road and the nature of the tires. You might be on slicks. You may be on whatever. Yeah. You have no understanding of the entire package. You just go.
You're just having the sensory input of that exact moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you have all these these moments of inspiration, when you have it is and I always say that it's always up to the reader to kind of go. They get to make the decisions. But you also have to accept that they don't have all the information.
Yeah.
And it is up to us, whether it be, because in this case, we're not going in the idea of this heavy inspiration. We're not even talking about a realm of plagiarism, but we are aware, or we are respectful that this idea came from somewhere else.
Yeah. But like in ancient Greek society, when it was the Muses, they were actual embodiments that would inspire artists, and they would plant these ideas and inspirations into the artist.
Oh, sure, but we talked about before that the idea that the muse ascends, and suddenly that line wasn't written by me.
Yeah.
But that is a, I guess, genuine, or at least I describe it as genuine inspiration, or perhaps that you're unaware.
Yeah, it's a humanly recognizable phenomenon that happens to most people, I'd say, at some point in their life.
I don't know. I don't think you can say that.
Whether it's an idea of how to put up the shelf properly, or it's an idea of how to deliver a particular report and work. The inspiration does happen. I'd say to most people
then
at some point.
You've watered down inspiration a fuck ton if it's how to put up a shelf, but.
Yeah, well, if you've never done it before, an epiphany might arrive, and you might go,
What I was saying was that moment of the muse may simply be you've forgotten the origin.
Yeah.
Because we don't have...
You're thinking, what a great idea I had all by myself and on my own. Yeah, it was like, oh, that's the same idea.
You can imagine a different version of Al writing down the line.
Like, isn't that just Star Wars? Oh, fuck.
yeah. Or a different version of Al writing down the line, hey, these things snap off. That's a fucking great idea. And not remembering that it came from a TV show from the late 90s, early 90s.
Yeah.
So it's a...
Like, have one of your characters screaming, there are 4 lights.
Yeah, well, no, but like...
I came up with that.
But I remember a case where, before I had read Song of Ice and Fire, a friend of mine was at me going, you have to read these books, you have to read these books, you have to read these books. And he told me about the scene where Dany got the Unsullied, where she trades away one of the dragons. Yeah. But the way he described it wasn't as it happened in the book, nor happened in the TV show. That
right.
It was, or at least the impression I got was that she walked away with the army, turned around, and then walked straight back again. I went, I'm going to use my army. I'm going to take down this place, rather than going, Dracarys. So, but if I had never read those books, and they say the TV show never happened, 15 years later, I'm remembering a version of a story.
Yeah.
Then that could be pop in my head as a moment of muse.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember something similar happening in relation to Interview with the Vampire. Because when the movie came out, the Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise movie, there were events, like there was, I think it's in part in Theatre de Vampire, where they arrive in the movie and they're coming down. I was convinced that elements that weren't even in the book happened when I tried to remember, like, the movie after I left the cinema and kind of thinking about it. I hadn't seen it more than once at that stage, but I was like, I had read the book and I was like, wait, hang on, did that happen? Did they show that in the movie? I remember something happening. And then I went to the book and I was like, it wasn't there either. I was like, I can't remember now where I'm getting this idea thing happened.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, I'm misremembering both things, both the book and the movie, to create this other event that I was convinced I had read before. And
sure, like, yeah. But I think that's
just wrong.
An odd, again, where the muse goes, this happened, or this is an idea. It's almost like plugging in to the source of it.
Yeah.
And so, well, clearly it's so similar, it must be the same thing.
Yeah.
So yes, that is us.
It's just a quick shot.
Pew pew. Sometimes I don't know why. Sometimes I don't know why I come back. But pew pew. Just bring it to the end.
This has been Fictional Problems.
Thank you very much.
And we are inspired to wrap this episode up.
Keep watching the skies.